Shalom and Rastafari. This is your brother, your Wyndham Ras Beruku Tafari, your brother Ras Beruku Tafari. And on this one, we want to have a response to ones like brother Garfield and other brothers out there who seem to or think that they are scholars and everything like that. And just asking a simple question is, do you understand the origins of the words that you're speaking? Do you understand the origins of the words that you're speaking? Now, what's interesting is we see the brother here because we saw it on the let us go ahead and pull it up real quick. But I think the brother was talking about Ugartic origins, right? So brother Garfield was he's talking about Ugartic origins, right? So let us go to it real quick so we can give a a brief explanation of what we're speaking about. You know what I mean? Because the problem with people who read the Torah or who read their Bible, you understand, is that you're reading words that you don't go look up and investigate on a higher level. You have to go look up those words and the definitions of those words, and look up the phrases and things like that, where they come from. Now, first of all, just on a simplified scale, the word Ugartic here, and you can look at different areas where you can get the information. We see Ugartic etymology right there, right? Now, it says from Old English, Petrus, right? It says it's 12th century, okay? Was it 12th century AD, Old English, okay? So you're comparing a word that is from a 12th century Old English word, and you're saying that it is basically an Afro-Shemitic origin, such as Hebrew or Judaism. I guess that's what you're trying to say, that the Judaism comes from I guess a Ugartic origin, or you're speaking about one of the festivals. Let me go and look up exactly what the brother was saying, because he was saying something, and that's another thing too. We gotta be careful. Don't want to loosely call someone a brother, but just for the most part, to the thought that one is trying to do something to help or better their community, seemingly, though in self-righteousness. Because if somebody was moving in self-righteousness, and they might feel like, oh, I want to help my community, and they might give off some information that will hurt the community, even though they might think they're helping their community, they might really be hurting their community. Okay, so looking at Brother Garfield's podcast, on one of his shorts, he said that let's go over here, because there's a few things he said that we need to go ahead and investigate. You know what I mean? Or go ahead and just clear up for the brother real quick, because he's quite confused, and you're already confused about the origins of Ethiopia and Kush. It's fairly obvious to see that most of you confuse the land with the person, right? You couldn't tell the difference between the person and the land. Be honest. That's why you say Kush all the time. The only reason you say Kush so much is because you confuse the landmass with the person, because you refuse to study the Ethiopic literature, or any of the Amharic, or some of the older literature that was written by black people, right? You refuse to study that literature. And what's crazy is that the Greeks did. The white folks, they actually did study the literature, and they were able to make the differentiation in the person from the place. Okay, so it's obviously they were able to make the differentiation from the person and the place. So Kush, as a representative person of the landmass Ethiopia. So obviously Kush was there to retain some border control. You see what I'm saying? Speaking about Kush on that level, speaking about Ethiopia, and at that time of Genesis 2 and 13, and obviously we see the time period between that and Genesis chapter 10, but we're not even going to go there right now. Right now, we're just going to get into what you said about the Ugartic thing, and I'm trying to find the one where Garfield says what he says. I think he said, okay, right here.
Are you practicing Israelite religion?
I think right here.
Passover, Shavuot, Sukkot, Sabbath, Yom Kippur. The center of Yahweh's worship lay in 3 great annual festivals.
Okay, we're not going to go there. That's not that one. It's one of them. Let's see. All right, here we go.
Of Sukkot, aka the Feast of
Boom.
Tabernacles.
Yeah, and we in Sukkot. Right. So now he says that, and this is a simple one. This is very simple, right? So he says that the origins of Sukkot, the festival of Sukkot. Now, when we get into the understanding of the festival of Sukkot, okay, this is during the end of the harvest season, okay. So that means that what happens at the end of the harvest season? Well, there's a collecting of the harvest fruits, the wheat, and all the things that had grew throughout the harvest season, symbolizing a beautiful rain season where it wasn't an overflow of rain, and neither was there a drought to where crops could not grow or crops were flooded out or destroyed. But it symbolized there was a balanced level of rainfall for the crops to intake, and at the end of that season was a harvest season as we know of as Sukkot, and coming out of the holy days, you know what I mean, because within these 2 and 3 weeks have been a seasonal moedim of these holy days that we under right now. They've been very, very important, especially since that this is followed from the Day of Atonement and coming into Sukkot. So these holy days for us as not just black people or as black Jews, you know what I'm saying, but as Israelite people, as Judaic people, a very important custom concerning the respect of Ha Elohim and these traditions that we are supposed to carry. Now, when we look at these traditions that the Hebrews do keep, like with the harvest festivals and the season, this would mean any tradition or in any people's traditions, they could easily celebrate a beautiful harvest season. So they would, of course, anyone would celebrate the welcoming of a good harvest season. That means that it was a good season. That means your fruits grow, your crops had grown, and they were perfect. There was nothing that destroyed your crops, but they grew in good, healthy abundance. Okay, so you grew some good, healthy crops in abundance, and this was the time where they were fully grown, and you would reap all these fruits and, you know, take the weeds and take the, you know, separate the wheat from the weeds, you know, so the weeds can be burned, you know what I mean? And you keep all the good wheat, you see what I'm saying? So this would have been a time for that. So of course it would have been a time of joy, because it would have symbolized fruitful food, an economy, a store, and you know, you go out during the harvest season, such a beautiful season that you would actually create huts, of branches, right, of greenery with fruits and vegetables, and you would enjoy there's a very beautiful natural concept to this. Okay, so of course that there's no doubt for us to think that other cultures would enjoy such a traditional or such a seasonal arrangement that came from the Almighty, being thankful for having a good harvest season. Why wouldn't any people be thankful for a good harvest season? That mean that they were blessed, you know what I mean, and they were not cursed. Now the nation that forget Ha Elohim is turned into hell, and look at the droughts in the earth, and look at a lot of things in the earth. So there were it would be custom, if we would go into ancient times, of course, that this is customary. These things would have had to have existed even before the Hebrews would have come forth, okay? Because any peoples at any given time would have been thankful for a good harvest season, okay? So when we start to get a little silly and a little foolish with what we're speaking about, You know what I mean? And we just start throwing things out there because we want to troll, or we want to be, we make things to ourselves that might be damnation with the Almighty, But this is definitely to be continued because we want to really, confront a lot of these false, false allegations against the Torah. We got Brother Garfield. He's one of the ones out there making these false allegations against the Torah. But do you really study the words that you speak? Like we said, look at the word Ugartic. Ugartic here, you can see the wiki study of it. Just for the rough draft or blueprint. You can see here it says is an extinct Northwest Semitic language classified by some as a dialect of the Amorite. Right? Now, if you know anything about the Amorite in the Bible, go look up. You can go look up the Amorite in the Bible, and the Bible will clearly tell you what the Amorite is to the Israelites and what the relationship is of the Amorite to the Israelites, and even will tell you what is a good Amorite, right? Because there's a good Amorite, there would be a good Amorite and a bad Amorite. There's a good Israelite and a bad Israelite type, even also. So remember, Haman hung himself. He was hung by his own noose. He had a noose for Mordecai. He was hung on his own noose, for going against the grain, for going against the Almighty. So this is something that we have to understand, the origin of words. So when we dealing with that, one of the things that we learn from studying Ethiopia is that there is a highly extensive education on peoples and the origins of peoples and where they come from and how they went throughout the world. Now, we know Hebrew. We study Hebrew also, and we study the Ethiopic and Amharic, though you got Hebrews out there who they don't study that. So how would they know what the roots of it are saying? If we going back to the time, even if you're dealing with Cush, it's telling you Cush was there since Genesis 2 and 13. So when you think that you would study some Cushite languages, right? Even if you disagree with what Cush was or Ethiopia, anything like that, don't you think, well, since it's in the Bible and you're supposed to be an Israelite, wouldn't you at least be, wouldn't you at least be want to comprehend the language, right? When you want to understand why is it being mentioned as, why does it say beyond the rivers of Ethiopia, my suppliants shall bring my offering, right? The dispersed of my suppliants, the daughters of my dispersed, right? Shall bring my offering, right? Beyond the rivers of Ethiopia verse. So, you would think if you're a Hebrew or you're an Israelite, you studied that text. Or Numbers chapter 12, it talks about what happened to Miriam when she spoke down on the Ethiopian woman, right? So you would think that if you're a Hebrew or something like that, you're familiar with that. So why would somebody have, Israelites on their live speaking down on Cush or Kish, like as they said, speak, and you would think that they would actually be studied in the language. And we heard some of the statements that some of these brothers made, on this brother's podcast. But we just wanted to go into that, the whole Ugartic thing. Do you even study the etymology of the words that you speak? Do you even study the origins of the words that you're speaking? You know what I mean? You're talking about something that's from 12th century Old English. Okay? 12th, at least that's what we're seeing here from the etymology, the origin, the meaning of Ugartic. And we didn't really even go into Ugartic, but it's definitely not Ethiopian. Okay, and if the one interesting thing about it, if it's is it a Shemitic root, which is interesting, Ugartic, right? Because the Amori are the children of Canaan, and they have more of a Hamitic root, if anything. So is it even Shemitic? Is it even is it even of Shem? You know what I mean? When we start studying words and we start tracing, though we're gonna stop this one here. This is just, we wanted to put this forward for right now, just to let brothers and sisters know, do these people who go against the Torah, who go against the the precepts and the rules and the order of the Almighty, do they even study the words that they speak? Do you even study the word? Do you even know what Ugartic? Do you know what it refers to? Okay, so more on that, and shalom.